Is a Roth conversion right for you, or is it a tax trap in disguise? That's the question a lot of business owners are asking right now, and today I'm going to help you find the answer. Whether you've heard of a Roth conversion from your financial advisor, social media, or that guy at your co-working space who swears he knows taxes, today we're going to break down what a Roth conversion really is, who it's best for, and the strategic moves you can make to turn taxes today into tax-free income later. Because here's the truth, done right, Roth conversions are a powerful tool, but done wrong, they could cost you more in taxes than you ever expected. So let's walk through the smart way to use them, how our team helps small business owners like you build wealth on purpose through Roth conversions and various other different tax strategies. So I first want to kind of set the stage and talk about what is a Roth, because you might be listening to this and say, I don't even know what a Roth is. So let's talk about what a Roth is. And when we talk about a retirement account, we have what we call traditional money or Roth money. And so let's talk through that. Traditional money, or a traditional Roth or a traditional IRA, you get a deduction when you put money in. It grows tax deferred, but when you withdraw during retirement, you get taxed on those withdrawals. Where with a Roth IRA, as an example, you get no deduction, no tax deduction, no tax benefit when you put money into it, but it will grow tax-free, and in retirement, you can withdraw from a Roth IRA tax-free. So traditional, tax deduction when you put money into it, tax benefit when you put money into it, tax deferred growth, taxes when you withdraw. With a Roth, no tax benefit when you put money into it, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals. And so that's the beauty behind a Roth, is that you get to have all that growth in there and then tax-free withdrawals at that time. But the big problem is you don't get a tax deduction today. So let's go through a quick example to help kind of walk this through. Let's just assume that you're in the 24% tax bracket. If you put $100,000 into a traditional IRA and grow it to $500,000, today you're going to save $24,000 in taxes when you put that money into it, because you have $100,000 you put into a traditional, you're in the 24% tax bracket, you're saving $24,000 in taxes by putting $100,000 into that traditional account. But you're going to pay, when that traditional account went from $100,000 to $500,000, you're going to pay taxes on it. And let's just assume when you withdraw that, you're still in the 24% tax bracket, you're going to pay $120,000 in taxes. So you get $24,000 tax break, but when you withdraw that growth, and it grows to $500,000, you start withdrawing it, you're going to pay $120,000 in taxes on the exit. Now let's look at a Roth. You put $100,000 into a Roth and it grows to $500,000. Now you don't save that $24,000 in taxes when you put that $100,000 in, but you're going to pay no tax on the exit when you pull money out of that Roth. So in that scenario, you're a positive $96,000 just from a tax perspective by doing a Roth instead of a traditional. So that's the power behind a Roth IRA. Now, sometimes that can be tough to make that decision, because you're saying, hey, this traditional sounds really attractive. I can lower my tax bill today, but then you got to think about the exit piece too. So when we talk about these types, we often tell business owners, we often tell individuals to think about their lifetime tax rate and the lifetime tax that they're going to pay. Just saving taxes today might not mean that that's a good thing, that there could be a better option where you're going to get the benefit on the back end instead of today. But it doesn't make sense for everyone. It's not the right situation for anyone. So let's talk about what a Roth conversion really is, because that's why we're here today, right? The simple explanation is that when you have a Roth conversion, you're converting pre-tax retirement money, like a traditional IRA or a 401k, into Roth money. So you're converting pre-tax traditional money into Roth money. And you're moving money from one bucket, the traditional bucket, to another. Now the problem is that you're going to pay tax now when you do that conversion. Because remember, with a traditional, you got a tax benefit when you put the money into it. So you can't just get a tax benefit and then say, oh, I'm just going to convert this to a Roth and there's no tax consequence there. No, when you convert traditional money into Roth money, you have to pay taxes on that conversion at the time of the conversion. Because you got the tax benefit going in, now there's got to be some hit. Otherwise, everyone would just put money into a traditional, let it sit in there, and then convert it to Roth, that there's no tax hit on that, and you have the best of both worlds. But that's not possible. So you're going to pay tax now rather than later. But the key thing is that any future growth, any growth after that conversion, is tax-free, and then withdrawals are tax-free. So why would somebody even think about doing this? Why would somebody want to do a Roth conversion? Well, the main thing is tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals, especially if you're young. Think about all that time that money has to grow and grow and grow, tax-free with tax-free withdrawals. So that's the main benefit of the Roth IRA. The other cool thing is that there's no required minimum distributions on Roth accounts. So if you do that conversion, when you get to retirement, you will not have any required minimum distributions if it's in a Roth account. And then the third kind of reason is just kind of that same tax-free growth. But when we look at people, when we look at people's retirement and where their funds are, you're going to have some funds in retirement that are taxable, some that are non-taxable. And we want to kind of look at that overall picture. And we see a lot of people that have great retirement accounts, but they're all in the taxable bucket, that traditional bucket. And they say, I'd like to diversify a little bit. I'd like to have some of my income in retirement be in that tax-free bucket. And here is an opportunity to do that via Roth conversion. So who should consider a Roth conversion? You know, the ideal candidates are those that have a temporary dip in income. So let's say you're a higher income earner, but this year you're in between jobs and your income's going to be significantly lower this year. That's a great opportunity to do it. People are expecting tax rates to rise significantly. Now is a good time to do a Roth conversion. If you're looking to diversify retirement buckets to expand into some of that tax-free money, that would be a good time for a Roth conversion. And we're going to go through some real life examples in just a bit, just to show the power of this conversion and how it can really add up to significant lifetime tax savings. Now, real quick, if you're looking for tax strategies that you can actually implement, I built a software called TaxZone, where we just don't show you how to save on taxes. We help you turn tax strategies into real dollars saved with clear step-by-step guidance, full implementation, and help from our team. So if you're serious about paying the least amount of taxes legally possible this year, click the link in the description and book a free discovery call with our team to learn more about it. Now, let's go back to Roth conversions. So how does a Roth conversion work? Basically, you just have to choose. First step one is choosing the account, whether it's a traditional IRA, a SEP IRA, a simple IRA. Maybe you have a 401k, but you choose an account that you have traditional money in, pre-tax money in, that you want to convert. The next step is you need to calculate the tax impact on it. Find out, based on that conversion, what's the tax income impact going to be? What's the tax bill going to be? And that conversion, that income, when you convert that, that's going to be treated as ordinary income in the year that you do the conversion. So you do a conversion in 2025, you're going to have ordinary income from that conversion in 2025. Step 3 is you're going to actually initiate the conversion. And step 4 is you're going to pay taxes on that conversion. And step 5, and this is the beauty, this is why we do Roth conversions, is you're going to watch your funds grow tax-free forever. That's the beauty behind a Roth conversion. So let's talk about some strategies that we talk about when we think about, okay, Roth conversion is great. I think I want to start doing that. I qualify. I am a good candidate for that. But I want you to do it smart, because you can do a Roth conversion at any point in time, anywhere, anytime. But we want you to do it smart. We want you to do it so that when you're doing it, you're getting hit. That tax bill on that conversion that you're getting hit with is as low as possible. Now, there's going to be a tax hit. There's going to be income that we have to report, but let's find a way to make that as low as possible. And so there's different strategies that we do with Roth conversions. The first one is to fill up lower tax brackets, or work with your marginal tax brackets and use them to your advantage. So let's use an example. Let's say married, filing jointly, let's say the 12% tax bracket tops out at $94,300. If you have $70,000 in taxable income, that means that you could convert roughly $24,000 and pay just 12% federal taxes on it. So again, let's say married, filing jointly, $94,000 is where the 12% tax bracket goes up to 22%. And if you have income right now of $70,000, that means that you have $24,000 in a delta there that you could convert and stay in that 12% tax bracket. Now, let's say you converted more, you're going to jump into the next tax bracket. And so now you're paying 22% on everything above that $94,000 that's into that tax bracket. So think about, oftentimes what we say is you can do conversions in chunks. You don't need to do all of your pre-tax money, all of your traditional money, and convert all of it right away. You don't have to do that. You can do it in chunks. And so a lot of times we say to people is, let's do a Roth conversion up to your tax bracket amount. So in that case, maybe you had $100,000 in traditional monies, but you only had $24,000 up until that next tax bracket. Let's convert $24,000 this year. That's going to be at the 12%. We don't need to jump into the 22%. We can convert next year when maybe we're in that same range or same area. So that's just kind of one strategy that we oftentimes see people do that Roth conversion is we do it in chunks, year by year by year, just up until that tax bracket might jump into a higher rate. Another time, and this is where it can be super, super beneficial, is where we do it in low income years. So let's say that you're, let's say you're a W-2 worker, high-paying W-2 worker, and you got let go, you decided to take a year off, a sabbatical, whatever it might be. That's a great year. When you have no income or low income than what you're used to, you're in a much, much lower tax bracket. That's a great time to do a Roth conversion. Let's do a Roth conversion then. You're gonna have income, you're gonna have to pay taxes on it, but it's gonna be at brackets that are lower than what you're typically used to being taxed at. We often see this too in retiree gap years. So maybe you retire at 59 and you have not much income from 59 to 60, or 62 or something like that. So in those 3 years when you have a little bit of little income, we're gonna start to do some Roth conversions on that so that we can get them converted. And then obviously once you get to more retirement, now you have some tax-free money to access there. From a business owner side, we see this a ton in years where you have big business deductions or losses. Maybe it's a year where you're buying a lot of equipment and you're having a bunch of losses. This is a great opportunity to take those losses that you have and use it when you're in a very low tax bracket. This goes along with that low income years, but we see this oftentimes with business owners where you have big losses from your business due to growing whatever you're doing in your business. This can be a great opportunity to do one of those Roth conversions. We also see this a lot when we talk about backdoor Roth conversions and this is for high income earners. Now, you can't put money into a Roth IRA if your income is over a certain limit. But that's we have what we call the backdoor Roth conversion. And so that's where this can be super helpful. And basically what you do there is you contribute to a non-deductible traditional IRA. So you're getting no tax deduction when you contribute to that non-deductible traditional IRA. And this is only if your income taps out and you can't initially fund a Roth IRA. You contribute to a non-deductible traditional IRA, and then you convert that to a Roth IRA. Again, this can be a super powerful strategy to just get more money into that Roth bucket. Now, people, we don't need to always have all of our money in Roth, although that can be great. We might have a combination of the two, and this is just a way for those of you that maybe said, I've never had a Roth, I didn't even look at a Roth, I didn't even think about a Roth. This is the way that we can start to go towards that direction. Now, if you're doing a backdoor Roth IRA, one thing you need to watch out for is the pro rata rules. And basically what this means is that if you have other IRA accounts, it's gonna treat all of your IRA accounts as one. So let's say you make a $6,000 non-deductible IRA contribution. So you're planning to do a backdoor Roth and you say, yeah, I'm gonna make a non-deductible contribution of $6,000, convert it the next day, and now I have it into a Roth account. But let's imagine that you already have $94,000 in traditional IRA monies in there. So if you put that $6,000 in, now you have a total bucket of $100,000. If you convert that $6,000 that was a non-deductible traditional IRA contribution that you made, you'll still pay tax on 94% of it because they look at it as a full bucket. So just keep that in mind if you are doing a backdoor Roth IRA. If we're just doing a Roth conversion, we know it's taxable, nothing to be concerned about. But if you're using that backdoor Roth IRA strategy, just remember about the pro rata rules. Now, one way to get around the pro rata rules is that you can avoid it by rolling pre-tax IRA funds into a 401k because then they don't touch it. The other big strategy that we talk about a lot with tax home members is using discounted Roth conversions. So let's just imagine that your account value in this traditional IRA or 401k that you have, let's just imagine that the account value is temporarily down. If it's temporarily down, you can convert at that lower amount and pay less in tax. So let's just say, easy numbers to understand. Let's just say you had $100,000 in an account into an IRA, traditional IRA, pre-tax IRA, and that money is now at $50,000 due to stock market, whatever it might be. That $100,000 that you had last month now is worth $50,000 due to a downturn. If you convert that today, you're going to pay taxes on that $50,000 instead of the $100,000. So using a discounted, when your dollars are discounted, this can be a great time to do that. If you converted a month ago when you had $100,000 in that account, guess what? You're paying tax on $100,000. We have a downturn, that value decreased for whatever reason. Now it's worth $50,000. Now we're only paying taxes on $50,000. If a month from now that money goes back up to 100, guess what? It's tax-free. That growth is tax-free. Those withdrawals are tax-free because you did that conversion. You pay tax at the $50,000 amount. That's when you convert it. That's when you pay the tax on it. So there's different strategies around this concept or ideas of discounted Roth conversions. Sometimes there's market downturns, which we see often where market downturns come. That's a great time to do a Roth conversion because the value is lower. And guess what? We know stocks. We know stocks are going to go back up at some point down the road, so we don't have to worry about that, but we can convert, do a Roth conversion when the amount's low. Sometimes we see clients with depressed asset values via private investments. So think of, private stock, real estate, oil and gas investments. There's different opportunities that you can have a play there where the value might decrease for a period of time before going back up. And we have many partners within Tax Helm that focus on these types of investments, these types of strategies. So let's talk about the tax considerations with a Roth conversion. First off, all converted amounts are taxed at ordinary income. So ensure you have the cash to pay for it. That's an important thing. We do that conversion, we gotta make sure we have the cash to pay for the tax bill when that comes. Now, there is no penalty for converting, so that's good. We also say watch your tax brackets. So if you're converting, that's adding to your income. Watch your tax brackets. We don't want to jump you in and pay more tax than necessary on some of those conversions. And also, finally, don't forget about state taxes, because there's going to be potentially some items there. Now, some states might not look at it, but there's potentially some state items that we want to look at. All right, so let's run through some examples just to help drive home this concept. Let's say, and these are some real examples that we see all the time over at members of Tax Helm, but we have a business owner with a net loss. This is a construction company. They invested $100,000 in equipment that they were able to write off right away, and that created a $50,000 loss in their business. With no taxable income and a $50,000 loss, they were able to convert $50,000 of traditional IRA money into Roth money and pay no tax on it, because they had that loss that could offset it. So when you're in a low income year, this is especially important for business owners, but it can be generally available too. But when you have a low income year, that is a gold mine to do a Roth conversion. And this is an exact example of that. We had another example where they invested in some oil and gas projects that had a market downturn or a temporary downturn in them. And they had a value of their traditional IRA was $100,000 last month, but due to the downturn or that the investment that devalued the money, it's now worth $50,000. So now they convert, they're only paying tax on $50,000 versus if a month ago they would have paid tax on $100,000. So remember, the beauty behind this is that any future growth, even though it dropped to 50, if it goes back up and goes up way even more, that's future growth, all tax-free and tax-free withdrawals. So now that you know, Roth conversions aren't just for retirees or finance nerds. They are a strategic lever that you can pull to unlock decades of tax-free income, but only if you do it properly, and that's so important. Timing, income levels, tax brackets, and your bigger financial picture, they all matter when we're talking about Roth conversions. This is not a one-size-fits-all move, and that's where we can come in. At Tax Helm, we specialize in turning tax confusion into tax strategy. We help business owners like you make smart moves that build wealth, not just save a few bucks this year. Build wealth and save taxes at the same time. If this episode got you thinking, be sure to hit subscribe, share it with someone planning for retirement, and visit taxhelm.com to book a free discovery call with our team. I will see you on the next one.